Welcome back, Disruptors, to the 78th episode of the Oligarchy Disruptor podcast with your host, Bennett and Leon. Of course, we have Ashley down with us as well.
Hey, guys.
All right. So today we have, so let's go ahead and just watch and see what you guys think. Okay, so let me just rewind this real quick for you guys. So keep in mind their whole argument is that this man tripped, right? They're gonna use their whole normal script they always use, oh, he tripped, or they put the blame on them, the other person somehow, and look at what happened. So they say he tripped, and clearly, as we go along here, nothing happens. It's a simple exchange, and then all three of them reach out, push him over, and down he goes, and blood. Oh, and that's that one scene that went very viral.
And do you see that other officer? It looks like he puts his hands on that guy's shoulder, pulling him back, as the guy is holding his baton, as if he wants to.
Look, because he wanted to help him, because his instinct was to help him. Look.
I don't even think it was to help him, because then this guy keeps on walking, and if you see that guy.
But he pushed him through, because I think that's their protocol. That's what it says to me, but I don't know. It could be something else.
I think it looked like he wanted to keep on beating on the guy. That's what I think it looks like. And that guy, it looks like he's the only one who cares that the guy's bleeding.
Okay, let's go ahead and just press play and see how it kind of rest of it plays out.
What the fuck you walking up on me? Back up. Get up the steps. Let's go. Get back.
Better get an ambulance for him. We have EMT on scene.
So for those of you that are listening, this is the reporter saying this. The people that are holding the cameras. Here he goes. The man is down at this point. Back from the beginning. I don't know why it gets greeny in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it gets to great quality. But basically the guy walks up. Right? Simple, normal, simple exchange. He stands upright. I don't see any giant gestures or anything, in my own opinion.
Yeah.
And then let's rewatch this a little more carefully. What happens? As that third one kind of joins behind them, I think they're screaming something or something, and then all three of them join in and just throw that 75-year-old man over. And yeah.
See, I don't know. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like that guy, and I don't see that third guy hitting him. I see this third guy as being the only person who is de-escalating the situation. It almost looks like he comes up to try to stop it.
Wait, I feel like no, that was his other hand. Yeah, you're right, actually.
And this guy on the side, he looks like he shoves him even more than the other guy.
Yeah, this one in front, right?
Yeah.
This guy right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Which is.
And then the one to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the one in the front on the right looks like he kind of puts his hand over too. They both shoved him.
That's horrible. Look how, for those of you that are listening, his blood is pouring out of his ears. I'd be shocked. I'd be scared if I saw this in person. I'd be serious. I'd be seriously scared.
It's scary just to see this in general. I mean, the way that they're walking, first off, is scary. If I was this old man, and I saw these officers walking up, when literally, even if he was protesting, he's peacefully protesting. It's not like he was, like you had mentioned, there's no large gestures or any type of inkling that he was verbally, abusive to them or anything like that. And then it escalates to this.
This is what happens when you have the fucking bullies. Cops are fucking bullies, bro. I'm not sorry to say it, but they're fucking bullies. They take it. They're power hungry. They're power hungry, and they love their position. And they love that they can do this to people.
Well, and it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier.
With the conviction rates and stuff, like that they can get away with it. That.
Yeah, well, and we were also talking about this situation, when we were discussing how we were going to talk about this on this episode, that if the police officer was an average, in any other profession, if he wasn't a police officer, this would be plain and simple assault charges, right? And just the simple fact that this person has a badge makes this ginormous gray area. And it's like, why do we have this gray area? Because of somebody's profession. And I get it that there are certain situations that they're put in that are riskier, but this is not clearly we saw this situation, right? This was not one of those situations. George Floyd, not one of those situations, So it's just scary that somehow society has allowed this huge gray area for police officers. If this was even, we were talking about, no matter what their profession was, they could be extremely wealthy, prominent politicians or world leaders. If you put your hands on somebody else, it's assault.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it is, and that's what I think is really interesting that the cops to completely dismiss and what they are always saying about once again, going back to those excuses. In this case, they use excuse. Oh yeah, he just tripped. We just played it back to you several times. You guys clearly saw, and for those of you that are listening, clearly heard that he, it was completely their fault. They shoved him. Two of those officers, in the beginning, I thought it was three, but he just kind of came up behind them and didn't put his hand and actually touch him. But both officers in front actually did, pushed him over. He did not trip on anything. He was shoved. The truth is that he was shoved. That 75-year-old man that was standing upright, you saw him make no aggressive gestures. He didn't run up on them or anything. He didn't have a knife, no weapon.
Yeah.
He has something in his hand.
And, it's really disheartening to me that a lot of the things that we've been seeing on social media or even just talking with my family and friends, it's been a lot of negative things about the looting and about negative things about the protesters instead of sharing things like this, where we're fighting for justice, equal justice for everybody, for Black lives in particular, and we're fighting to end police brutality. This is stuff that we should be sharing. We should be sharing the fact that police are still being brutal, are still using excessive force, even though we are fighting for this very thing to be abolished. And I think the reason why we're not sharing those things is because people are trying to, and me included, honestly, I'm not going to you will never hear me say fuck the police ever. I will not say it. So you have people who want to protect police, specifically because they have friends and family who are in those law enforcement fields or emergency services. But that's no excuse to not share this type of thing, because although there are good people out there in those professions, there are a lot of bad people, and the bad people are who we are trying to talk about right now so that we can fix this problem that we have. And not sharing what police are doing right now is not helping the situation. It's not right now. Police still need to be protected. Well, this is where police need to be more transparent. We need to really see what they're doing.
They need to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable for their actions.
That's exactly.
We need to get back to the foundation, get to the source of the issue. That's what our politicians and our government always fails to do. They always fail to get back to the root, the core of the issue, why these things are happening, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really important step that really needs to happen with the police. And it just goes back, like I mentioned in previous episodes. If you guys have listened in on or watched those, definitely do so. But I mentioned how their foundations is from like racism, from the KKK. They're like, that star, like thing that like sheriffs have or whatever, or that like cops have, all of them have it like that, whatever, the cop like star symbol. That is actually goes back way back to the KKK. Like they used to have those same shape stars. Like it's literally the same. Like it's crazy. Like it's like a symbol of like oppression, literally, to have like that star on them. So that's I thought that was pretty profound in and of itself. But we need to address things like that. Things like, I think earlier today I read how the governor of North Carolina, I believe, or Virginia, maybe, he is taking down the statue of Robert E. Lee. I think it was in Richmond.
Virginia.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in Richmond. So,
yeah, they wouldn't do that in North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so they whatever state it was, they removed that symbol, which is leads up to that. The Confederate flag, all that shit needs to go away. All the people that don't acknowledge their privilege need to fucking just realize like what's going on, like check back into reality and be sympathetic to what's really going on. And we need to all meet the moment, and that's why so many people, I feel like, they feel so compelled, because I feel like everybody really knows about the situation and everybody has their own thoughts in it. And we all know it's there. We all know it has been there, and it's like ingrained in all of us, aka racism, if you guys haven't caught on already. But I feel like people feel a duty to like call it out, and like that's why like it's being a thing for like people to like call out even their family members. Like that's becoming a thing now on like social media. Like people are just going after like racism in general. Everything is being looked at through a racial lens right now. I think it's very interesting, but it's very positive as well. I think for the Black plight, it needs to happen. There needs to be attention to them. They've been completely oppressed throughout the entire history as a fucking, as a race, and a people. So, very terrible. So, but that's enough of that. I feel like, let's go ahead and jump into the next, resource that we have here for you, which is a continuation of the same issue.
Yes.
Which you can,
link's perfect.
Yeah. So, we have updated news showing how 57 police, the Buffalo officers, resigned from the emergency response team after the 2 cops were suspended. Okay, so like from that group of people that we saw in that previous video, 2 of those police officers were suspended. I'm assuming those are the 2 police officers that actually physically contacted him and pushed him to the ground, causing him to get harmed. So everybody else in that team that you saw, that giant team, they also resigned from their post. So that just right away screams to me. I was mentioning this to Ashley earlier, that like these people are just willing to go down in flames for each other, like these people like are like blood brothers and or whatever to each other, and which is like cool, and like I get that, and like, but at the same time, you're like choosing to protect people that are doing wrong just because they work with you, or like you're their brother, you have like a connection with them. But that's not why you're there, bro. Like you're there to
protect and serve.
Literally serve and protect. Yes. So like that's what's really wrong about the situation, and that's the error of their thinking. That's my perception, at least. But let's go ahead and kind of like dig into this article. Let me zoom in a little bit here for you guys.
Well, if I can just say something about what you just said too, I've seen a lot of signs with the protests about calling out police as being the largest street gang that we have in the United States. And the way that you described the police alliance, I guess is how you could describe it, is exactly how people describe gangs, right? That they are willing to go down for everybody else in their group, that they're willing to protect, to lie, to cheat, to commit crimes for their brethren, you know? And I get it. In a profession like law enforcement, you do need to know that the people around you have your back. But unfortunately, we have come to a time where police officers are now feeling threatened if they do not go along with this, because will that person come to your aid now if you are in trouble as their fellow police officer? So I think that you have this kind of like gangs, you know, like you have to kind of fall in line. And if you don't, then your life may be on the line if something happens.
Literally. That's what's crazy about the situation. Like more people need to wake up to like what you like. That's just, I don't know. But let's go ahead and just dive into this. So the 57, well, first I want to mention that John Evans, we have a quote here from him. He is the president of the Buffalo Police Benevolent Association. And he was the one that actually announced their resignation at a press conference on Friday. And he said, quote, 57 resigned in disgust because of the treatment of two of their members who were simply executing orders. So what, like right away, they're like, okay, so like they use the word disgust, right? Like, I mean, what are you supposed to like think about what's going on with them, like, and how people are going to perceive this situation? Like, obviously this is a fuck situation. Like I don't know how many videos it's going to take of people getting mistreated and beaten on the side of the street and getting thrown and getting tear gassed. I was reading that a girl died earlier today, like a 16-year-old or something like that, died because she had asthma. Yeah, and it caused her to die. So, I mean,
you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry, but dear 57 police officers who resigned, I'm disgusted with you. I am disgusted that you think that what these two officers did was okay enough for you to be willing to lose your job over this. A 75-year-old man was on the street bleeding from his ear because of something your coworkers did, and you are willing to lose your job over that? Thank you for resigning, actually. Bye. We don't want you back.
And then I kind of want to bring attention to this part as well. So like that second part where it mentions the treatment of the two of their members who were simply executing orders. Right. So like they also put up the blame also on like their leadership or whatever, not taking the blame directly themselves, which is, I guess, a safe route to go in their shoes. I guess that's probably the best argument they could come up with, them and their lawyers. But the error of that thinking is that, like, one, you're not fucking soldiers, you know? So, like, I don't know, like, you're not excused, like, you're civil, like, that's the difference between you guys and, like, the military. Like, that's supposed to be the fucking difference. But you guys are the fucking Gestapo, and you guys are bullies and just beat the shit out of everybody. Fucking, like, psychopaths. Oh, it gives me so bad every time we see those videos. But like, it gets me so mad because people still defend them so much. And then they still do so much wrong over and over and over again. Like, people are still like, the George Floyd challenge is a thing. Like, fuck those people. And then I was reading that a cop yesterday, I forget, in some like southern state, she put her knee in like that same position on like someone's neck, on like some bystander's neck. A police officer did this to some woman. So like, they're not even stopping, even right at like during this movement, even like, that's fucking wild to me. I don't know.
Well, and that's why, honestly, I'm extremely happy that this has gone on for this long, and that so many different countries have also joined in on this movement. I mean, it genuinely has become a movement, and I hope that it continues as such, because like you just said, during all of this, people are still doing the exact same thing. Groups of officers are saying that they are following orders, which also means that their boss, their higher ups, are telling them that this type of force is okay.
And that's the whole point of this, like, is that it's like so ingrained in the system. And that's why it's like, it's institutional racism, you know, like it's not like a new phenomenon. This is like I said early on, even in this episode and previous episodes, it goes back to their very inception, you know, like, I don't know why you guys ever thought that like you could take people that literally were out they joined a club that specifically, their sole purpose is to kill Black people. And those people became the police officers. And to serve and protect the community. They're the ones that oppress us. They're the ones that keep the system in power, you know? But there's people that among us that also support them, and it's frustrating because like, I also understand both sides, the people that support the police, I mean, and the people that don't, because there are good cops, and we all know there's good cops out there. The thing is that they don't speak up, you know, even if let's say they are good cops, most of the time, those good cops don't speak up, and sometimes I'm sure even join in on those events. That's what's sad about it. You know, like it just trickles down. It's like a generation after generation of police, like, and it's everywhere. It's all over. Well, and I think all over the country.
I think that just like we're asking ourselves now, you know, how did we get to a point where so many Black lives have been lost, that this is the type of situation that we're in, where a movement is needed and violence has erupted and protesting has turned into rioting. You know, we ask ourselves, why is this violence happening? Why are people so upset? Why about this aspect, right? But we should also be asking ourselves on the police side, we all know that there's good cops. Why are those good cops not coming forward? Why have we created an environment in law enforcement where good police cannot come forward without being ostracized, without their physical safety being at risk, and without threat of losing a promotion? Or, you know, I can see why they don't. And it's also irreversible because people are dying, you know? But we also have to ask ourselves too, like, this is why we need police reform, because the good cops that are there are not able to come forward without themselves being threatened. And that's wrong. We need to change the police environment.
Not only their environment, I feel like it's also like their complete, like, I feel like it's a complete overhaul.
Their training.
All right, so I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thanks again for everybody that's tuning in to this episode. Thank you for giving us your time and attention today. And if you haven't done so already, definitely do check us out on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You name it, we got it. On our website, if you didn't know, we also write articles. Ashley's a phenomenal fucking writer. I'm okay. I don't want to be braggadocious or whatever. Okay, yeah, I'm decent, but whatever. So yeah, definitely.
You're wonderful, Bennett.
Thanks, Ash. Appreciate it. But yeah, definitely go check it out, guys, if you haven't done so already. We definitely appreciate that, and definitely subscribe and write us a review on our Apple podcast if you're listening on there.
Yes,
Appreciate it for those that do that. And with that, we will see you on the next episode. Thanks again, guys, and yeah,
bye guys.